Hello, you are listening to Disney Travel Tales, episode number 65. This is a space where you can escape the real world and immerse yourself in someone's recent Disney trip. However, today we're talking all about Universal Studios in Florida. I'm Jenny, and today I'm back with Beth for part 2 of her Florida vacation with her family. Go back and listen to episode 62 for Beth's Disney portion of her trip. Happy New Year! I hope everyone is having a great start to their 2023. I love New Year's and making plans for the years to come. One of the things I always start planning for our family is our travel for the year. If you're looking ahead and thinking about a Disney or Universal vacation, I would love to help you. Check the show notes for a link to my quote form and let's start planning. A misconception about Disney vacations is that they are too expensive. I will work together with you to create a magical trip that fits your budget and your wants. There are so many new and exciting things coming to Disney parks this year, it really is the perfect time to visit. Let me help make your travel dreams come true. Okay, so let's get going. Imagine yourself walking into Universal Studios for the first time, and let's go. So today we are back with Beth, and she is going to share with us her Universal portion of their vacation. And they were actually at Universal on Thanksgiving, right?
Yes.
That's very exciting. Okay, so let's just roll into this portion of your trip. How did y'all get from Disney to Universal?
Okay, so we used quick transportation, it was called, and they were really good. They texted us the night before with the schedule, and we had scheduled them to come at 11, like the checkout time for Port Orleans. And he was there early, and he was just at the front, the main building there, waiting for us. And so we loaded up all our stuff and transferred over to the Royal Pacific Resort at Universal. And it was maybe like a 20 to 30 minute ride.
Nice. And the Royal Pacific is considered, if you compare it to a Disney type resort, it's considered one of the deluxe resorts over there at Universal.
Yes. So yeah, our travel agent had encouraged us to do that over there to get the unlimited express passes included. And so I was really thankful that we decided to go that route. It was just so convenient to be right there by the parks. And we weren't the closest resort. I think Hard Rock is a little bit closer, but we could take the boat or the walking path to the parks. And they were both about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on if there was a big line at the boat dock or there's security at the boat dock and at the walking path. And so it kind of depended on that. I tried both multiple times, and they were both really convenient compared to the busing. So let's see, when we got to Royal Pacific, it was really beautiful and really neat landscaping, and you could tell it was more like a fancy hotel than like at the Disney Monorail where you have the outdoor entry. It was nice to have like a regular style like elevators and indoor hallway room.
Everyone also always comments on how good it smells.
Oh, yeah. I do remember it having a certain lobby smell.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a huge lobby, and it had a nice tree and like really modern decor. But we like commented right away how it had such a different feel than Disney, with just like the workers and the patrons that were waiting to check in. It was just like, this is weird that it's different, but it's like we can't really put our finger on it, but it feels different.
Yeah, Yeah, Universal is very different from Disney. I don't know why. I think it attracts older kids and adults a lot. Maybe that's part of it. And so the workers don't have that. I don't know how to explain it. Like cheeriness they have, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah. So they did not have our room ready, and this was, 11:30 in the morning. So we didn't really expect to go into our room, but we were hoping. So we ended up having to leave all our stuff at Bell Services. We had so much luggage. And so we were kind of like, okay, we've got to plan for the whole day now. And we kind of grabbed backpacks and decided to test out taking the boat to Universal Studios. So at the Royal Pacific, you just go down to the first floor by the pool, and the boat dock is like out behind the pool. And so we did that, and they had security there, and they checked our bags. My bag, again, set off the alarm at Universal pretty much every time. But they were pretty quick, and then, you just hop on the boat, and it's about a 10-minute ride, and then it lets you off near a bridge that's like between the parks, kind of.
Oh, that's nice.
And so the boat dock is a little bit closer to Universal Studios rather than Islands of Adventure, but they're, just a couple blocks apart between them. And so we went in, and we had a little bit of issue scanning into the park. So we got at the hotel, we got our key card for the room, and it is also your Express Pass card. And we thought it was also our park card. Apparently it was not. So we had to go to the guest services, and the guy was really nice at the turnstile, and he was like, just go over there, and, they'll give you your card, and then I'll save your spot. Just come, wave at me, and I'll let you back in, so we didn't have to wait in line again, so that was nice. So we checked in at a customer service booth, and they gave us another card, which was the park card, and they also gave us the passes to the holiday tour that we were going to do on Thanksgiving Day. So we had all this, and we had our lanyards that I had read everybody wears at Universal Studios. We hadn't used them at Disney because we used our Magic Bands. Mm-hmm. But so now we had to wear our lanyards with all of our cards, and so it was kind of, so you use the one card when you tap in, and they also do the fingerprint thing. And it was more of an issue where, like, you had to use the same finger every day or it would not work. And so they were like, which finger did you use? I never remembered. So that was another thing. It was just like more hiccups getting into the park. But so once we got in, we're just like, looking at all the stuff and taking it in. And let's see. We decided to go to, we wanted to go straight to the Harry Potter area, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I guess they call it. So in Universal Studios, it's the London part and the Diagon Alley part. So we walked around, and it's way at the back, like both of the Wizarding World areas. They put them at the back of the parks. And so we passed by, like, the Simpsons area, and there's Men in Black ride, and, like, a kiddie area. We had to go by all that and kind of around a little pond, and then we finally found the area. And they have, like, pretty big there so you could tell like what area you're in. But it was really cool. My daughter's a big Harry Potter fan, and we were actually thinking about going last year. She was like, "Mom, I have to go when I'm 11."
Yep.
She was like sticking to the canon here. And I was like, "Are you sure?" So like the first bar you see, there's a night bus there, and you can kind of interact with the little shrunken head and the night bus guy. I can't remember his name now. You can kind of have a little stand-shunpike, little conversation there and take pictures. And there's a food stand that I didn't get to try, but I heard it's really good. It has like jacket potatoes, like baked potatoes with different stuff on it. And then across from that, there's the number 12 Grimmel place. And so there's a little thing where if you ring the bell, you can see creature pop out into the window and peek out at you. So that was cool to see. And then I had read kind of like they kind of try to hide the opening to Diagon Alley. And so you kind of walk between these bricks, and there's no marking or anything, so you can see people standing there like, what is this? Why are people disappearing behind this brick wall? So we went back there, and it was just super cool to see how they had recreated the movies. And
so are all of y'all Harry Potter fans?
My husband's not super into it. I just along for the ride. Yeah. Yeah. He was just, taking it all in. But, yeah, my daughter and I had already been a Harry Potter fan, and then we read the books together sometime during COVID, I guess, like maybe 2 years ago, we listened to the audiobooks, and that's when she really liked it.
It's so amazing, though, walking back there. When we visited, one of my sons and my husband, they're not huge Harry Potter fans. Like, they're familiar with it, but even they were just like, this is amazing. Yeah, it really transports you.
Cool. Yeah, it's really neat how they did it. And you feel like you're in an old, crooked alley, kind of. And it was noticeably much busier inside there than it was in the park. But we were just taking in all the shops and looking around, and our plan had been to eat at the Leaky Cauldron. And so we went over there and we found out you need to place a mobile order while you're in line. So, like, you get in the line, which was pretty long. It was outside the restaurant and, like, sneaked up the alleyway there. And there's a little kind of another secret entrance to Nocturne Alley there. So it, like, bent around there. And that's where, like, the dark magic shops are. And so my daughter and I were checking that out while my husband waited in line. And he did the mobile order. I was having trouble getting my phone reception to work in Diagon Alley. It was like we were underground. So we ordered on there, and my husband and I both ordered the fish and chips, I think. But I ordered the kids' portion, and my daughter ordered mac and cheese once again. And then we got a frozen butter beer to try. And it probably took us 45 minutes before we got our food, even though and the mobile order. And yeah, we eventually made it in, and like they seat you as they can in the line, and everybody's already ordered when they get up to the front. So I don't know, it was an interesting system, but it worked out okay. It probably took us like 90 minutes to do all that, or 2 hours. Yeah.
We still, 90 minutes.
That's a really long time.
Yeah, for like what's supposed to be a quick service.
Right. That's not even like a table service style restaurant.
Right.
Was the food good?
Hey parents, do your kids listen to podcasts? Do they like solving mysteries and flexing their imaginations? Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is a new children's mystery podcast. Your kid can join Billy Bonanza and Susie Sockington on exciting and wacky adventures as they attempt to solve mysteries around their school. Mysteries at Riddleton Elementary is available now on all podcast platforms.
It was pretty good. It was, I mean, I liked it, but it was not like amazing food, but I just thought, fish and chips.
Yeah, the atmosphere was cool.
Yeah.
The food was, it was okay.
Yeah, they had kind of like long wooden tables, and I mean, it looked a lot like in the movie, but like I think we had our own little table, but some of them were like a huge long table, and you would just sit like close to other people. And then we were really close to the fireplace, which had a huge cauldron in it. It was like the cauldron, I guess.
That's cool.
And then, yeah, they had little things like behind me. They had the Sirius Black poster with him like yelling. So that was cute. It was kind of fun to be in there, and the frozen butterbeer was really good. We liked that. So it looks like, so after we got out of there, we went in a few of the shops, like the Wizard Wease's shop, and we went in the candy shop, and it was kind of interesting. They had all the storefronts. Not all were actual shops that you could go in. Some of them were just for looks. And then the ones that we went in, they were like all connected by like a staircase. So like you're in like the Quidditch supply shop, but you go up a ramp and it's the candy shop, like Honeydukes on the backside. So, and then it was also connected to the Weasley shop. So it was pretty interesting, but you could see like the huge Gringotts dragon, and people were standing there waiting for him to set fire so they could take a video.
Yeah.
So the line for that was pretty long at this point, and it was too intense so we didn't want to ride it. So I just decided I was going to come back another day and try to do that. And she was pretty tired and not really wanting to ride anything, so we kept watching to see if our room was ready on our phone, and they actually sent an alert about that. Okay, so Ron got an alert that our room was ready, and it was basically right at 4 that they did that, and that was the check-in time they'd given us, so there was no early room, but so we ended up taking the boat again. Maybe we took the boat back or walk? Maybe we walked. We went back to the hotel and we went swimming, even though it was still another like in the 70s kind of weather, and there was no rain this day. It was sunny. So we checked out the pool, which my daughter loved. It was like really like they made it look kind of like an island oasis, and there's like a big splash pad in it that's supposed to be like a boat, and there is an island in the middle. She liked that. And then they have one area where there's sand by the beach chairs. So she just thought it was a really cool pool. It was really big and kind of organically shaped. She liked that. So we swam until about 6, and then we didn't have a dinner reservation for this day, but we decided, like, I kind of looked on the app, City Walk.
Uh-huh.
And so we had trouble finding a reservation at this late hour. And when I made the reservations for Universal, they were really easy to get. Like, all the days I picked, there were tons of options, but that was like 3 to 4 weeks ahead. And I made some of them at the same time I made the Disney ones, like the 60-day. But then I kind of changed some of them. I was still able to get times up until at least 3 weeks out. But then, so we called, and there was something weird about the reservation. Like, when Ron called, it went to like a general operator, like for the whole area. It wasn't like that restaurant. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think so. That's what they do. Probably the pros know that, but I didn't know that. So it was a little confusing. And what I selected was fine. I was just trying to call the restaurant for a different, see if I could get a little earlier. And the woman on the phone, I think, accidentally canceled her reservation.
Oh, no.
And was able to fix it before we got off the phone. But I was like, oh, I should have just not called.
Yeah. It is really confusing because, like, back home, when you call a restaurant, you're calling the actual restaurant. But at these big parks, it's not like that. And most people don't realize that. And the first time we went, I didn't realize that. It's better to just, like, get there and talk to someone in person because you can never talk to the actual restaurant.
Yes.
I left my credit card at one of those places.
Oh, my gosh.
The same thing happened. Well, it ended up being really efficient, actually. My call was routed to the central person. They have a central lost and found that all restaurants report to. That's not the way I'm used to doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's actually good to know that there is a central lost and found. I wasn't aware of that. That's good.
And they actually had him pick up his credit card at Universal Studios at the customer service right at the front of the park. So it was interesting. And I think we had left at the Italian restaurant Vivo. I think that's what happened. So we decided to head over there, and I think we had a reservation, and it was around 8. And so we were going to try to get in a little bit earlier, so we just walked over, and we did the walking path this time. And we got there about 7:45, and they seated us pretty quickly. And they seated us in the outside, which was actually kind of like a patio area. I mean, it was enclosed, but they called it outside. So I think it was it had a roof, but it was open on one end, maybe. And it was really loud and busy there. We were kind of by the walkway of the entrance, so it was kind of crazy. But I think the food was pretty good. Usually, that's one of the few types of food my daughter will eat. Mexican. She only eats chips and queso and tortillas. But service was kind of slow, and we had some weird things happen where, my daughter wanted butter for her tortillas, and they didn't have any butter at the restaurant. And they were like, I don't think we have butter, but I can try to find some. And so she went next door to the restaurant, which I can't remember what it was, but it was kind of the American style, home cooking one. And she brought back a dish of butter for her.
Well, that's nice that she did that.
Yeah, and then the queso that we ordered never came. We kept asking where's the queso? The first thing they should bring, and it took 45 minutes to get this queso, and the manager had to get involved in all this stuff. It was so weird. I think they ended up comping the queso because it was lost in the shop. to bed. Right after that, we were just toast.
Yeah.
So, that was Monday,
Mhm.
and then the next day, we were going to try to go to Islands of Adventure. So, we were trying to make an early entry, but, so Zoe and Ron wanted to sleep in. They were still sleeping, and I woke up early, and so I was like, I'm going to try to go by myself and do the early entry. And there was a huge line at the security. I decided to do the walking path, and it was a pretty big line. And then when I got to the entrance of Islands of Adventure, it was like a mass of people, just like not really in a line, just like a mob of people. So it took me until 8:24 to get in, and I think the early entry was 8. So I wanted to try to get on Hagrid's, but it was already a 200-minute wait when I walked back there. Like, I followed the line. They had, like, the group that was going to Velocicoaster on the left, and then on the right, the Hagrid's motorbike adventure.
Mhm.
So the cast member or team members were like holding up these signs that said 200 minutes, and they were like waving people towards Jurassic Park. They were like, Velocicoaster's only 45 minutes, and they were like, please go over there. And so I got in the line for Hagrid's. I was like, surely it's not that long. And then I kept checking my phone, and it was like not going down. It was staying at 200. And they had this huge line with barriers and stuff that they had set up for it that just like snaked all around the Lost Islands. Is that what it's called? The land that's in between the entrance and the Lost Continent.
Mhm.
So like in there, they had this huge snaky line for Hagrid's, and I just started like freaking out. Like, I do not want to stand here for 3 hours and like totally blow the early entry. So I like opened the little gate and bailed out. And I saw a bunch of people doing this.
Yeah.
And so I just headed into Hogsmeade, and that was super cute. Like, it had the snowy roofs on the little village, and you could see the Hogwarts Express entrance there. And so I decided I would head for the castle to do the Forbidden Journey.
Mhm.
And I had heard, like, this is super bad for motion sickness. But I was like, oh, I didn't get sick at Disney hardly on anything. I think I'll be fine. And it was like, wow, crazy. So it was way wilder than any of the Disney rides I had done. And like, I thought maybe it would be kind of like Flight of Passage. But the ride vehicle was so weird. It was like throwing you like on your back and like all around. Did you do that when you were there?
Yeah, and I don't get motion sick, and it made me motion sick.
Oh man,
Because it is.
this was crazy.
It's between the jerking around and then the screens and the 3D. And is that one 3D? I think that one's 3D, isn't it?
They did not. I don't think they had 3D glasses.
Maybe it's
for
not
that.
3D, but it's
It
the
seemed
screen.
like it was. They had
Yes.
like things in your face, like spiders, dragons.
It's really fun, but yeah, it's intense.
It was really jerky.
Yeah.
And then they made you follow Harry on his broomstick, like flying all around the castle. And they had the 4D stuff, like fire from the dragons and
Hmm.
smoke and water, a bunch of stuff like that. But yeah, I was just like, I kept closing my eyes, like, oh my god. But the queue was really cool, and I encourage you to just, do the queue and then bail out at the chicken exit if you don't want to do it. So I would recommend doing that because it had like a portrait room where they were all talking to each other, had like the mirror of Erised. It had a little bit where it's Dumbledore's office, and there's a couple other rooms that you pass through. It was really long, winding queue, and like you go outside for some of it. It was, at that time, it was pretty much a walk-on. I was just like following the crowd in front of me, and I think it was posted at 15 minutes, and the way their express lanes were set up, it was like they haven't chained off. So like I was like, maybe they're not using the express lane because it's so early.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like got in the regular line, and then once I was in there and stuck in the regular line, I saw people like passing by on the express lane. I'm like, wait a second, should I like bail out and go over there? Because they scan your express pass multiple times there.
Mm-hmm.
They scan it at the front, and then there's usually another person somewhere in there, another team member that's going to scan it halfway through. But I just decided to wait, and it didn't take very long. Like, I got out of it at 9 o'clock. So it was maybe like a 25-minute for the whole thing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I was feeling really like out of it, like off of that. But as soon as you get off, you can see the hippogriff ride right there. And so I ended up just getting in line for that. And that one was, the standby was posted at 45. This time I got in the express lane like I was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And tested it out because I hadn't tried my express pass yet, I don't think, at this point. And so they scanned that, which is the hotel key card, and I think at the top of it, it says like unlimited express pass or something. So that was okay. It was super short, and it was kind of like a little bit more rickety than some of the Disney ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was hoping there'd be like more scenery or something. It was just like, boom, I'm done. It was like a 2-minute ride. So I'm glad I didn't wait super long for that. I probably waited 15 minutes. So after that, I kind of like took some pictures around the castle, and I didn't go in any of the shops at this point. By the time I got off the hippogriff, you could tell the huge crowd was filling up Hogsmeade. And it was like, packed with people already.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter wanted to get the wand, the interactive wand, so she could do all the spells. So Monday we had looked at Ollivanders, and it was like, they have the Ollivanders wand show, and they have a line for that. So you don't go actually in, you go in like the little shop next door to it. And we had looked in there, and it was like wall-to-wall people, and then like wand boxes everywhere. And I was like, well, I really want to do a wand show. And so we couldn't really look very well, so we decided not to get one on Monday. And decided we would try in Hogsmeade on Tuesday, because they have an Ollivander show both places. So we didn't do that yet, but then I was still by myself, so I walked back because I had quickly walked through the Zeus Landing, and it was so cute. I wanted to go back there and check it out. So I went back there, and I rode the little spinning one fish, two fish ride, because I hadn't gotten to do any of those little spinners at Disney because my daughter didn't want to do them. So I was like, I'm going to do this one. It has like little fish, but this one like has a little song and rhyme, and like the fish will squirt you with water, and so you're supposed to like listen to it and move your fish accordingly. And so I actually put on my raincoat just in case, but then I got squirted on one because I couldn't get it to move fast enough. It was funny, but I didn't get super wet, but a little bit. And that was only like 5-minute wait. I was like the only one in the express lane for the fish ride. And so I was waiting for Ron and Zoe to meet me. They had gotten up and had breakfast at the hotel. So I went to the Cat in the Hat ride, and I did the express lane for that, and that was really cute. I was kind of scouting for what Zoe would ride, and I was like, this one is like the Disney-esque ride, so it was kind of like the Winnie the Pooh ride, and she really liked that, so I'm like, okay, this is on our list. And then there's a really cute carousel with all the characters from the Dr. Seuss books, and that was really fun looking, so I figured we should do that too. So at this point, Ron and Zoe met me, and then she wanted to do the Cat in the Hat, so we did that. It was only a 5-minute wait. It was basically a walk-on with the express pass, and I think it was like a 15-minute line, and she really liked it. And then, let's see, we got in line for the Seuss train after that, which is like a little train that goes around Seuss Landing, like it's up high, so it was sort of like the People Mover, but like a cute little car. And it was posted at 40 minutes already. And so we went in the express lane. This was about 10 a.m. And we still had to wait about 20 minutes. Pretty long. And we were kind of like stuck on the stairs most of the time. But my husband did not like that one because it went out over the water a little bit. And he's like really afraid of heights. He's like, this is about my limit for height.
Yeah.
Height. And so she was okay. She liked it a little bit, but she didn't like waiting that long, which was, not super long, but still she'd been used to waiting like 10 or 15.
Right.
It was like 20 or 25. Then we got on the carousel, and that was a 5-minute standby, and we pretty much walked right on that at 10:30. And so then we decided to go into Hogsmeade to buy the wand. But Zoe didn't want to wait to do the ceremony and go into the Ollivander shop. So we went into the little shop next to it. And so they have like every character wand, like from the movies, and you can read about them and stuff. And so she kind of looked at a few, and you open the box and you can play with them and stuff. She ended up picking out the Cho Chang wand, and it comes with a box with a little felt holder in it, and then it comes with the map of where to do the spells, and so it has the Diagon Alley map and then the Hogsmeade map, and it has the little motion you're supposed to do and the incantation that you're supposed to say. So that was really cool, and those were not cheap. Those were like around $65, I think. The interactive ones. And then I had ordered already for her on Etsy a little wand holder case.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And it's like just fabric sack, like it has felt and then the house color that you want on one side, and 2 little backpack straps with adjusters, so you can put it on like a little backpack, and then you can like pull the wand out from your back.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, they ended up being convenient, and it also had a slot where you could fit the map in there, which holds up really skinny, and carry both around. And then they sell you like a special wand bag that's $2 to carry around your wand, or you can just get the plastic universal shop bag. And then we looked around the shops there. She was like looking for a Harry Potter shirt or a jersey that she wanted there. And she looked at the robes. She asked for the robes, and I was like, let's wait and see if we find something else, because I could just picture, wearing it only that day or not wanting to wear it at all. And it was, I think they were $129 or something like that. It was like a strange odd number that all the prices were, but they were, between $120 and $140. And they were really nice. Like, they're lined with the house color that you pick, and like it has a little pocket for the wand and stuff. Really nice quality. Not like she has one at home that's like the costume one that's like really thin. An Amazon purchase.
Yeah.
So we ended up just getting the one, and then she tried out a couple spells, and we had a hard time getting the wand to work with the spells, and most of the windows where you do them were like a big cluster of kids waiting to do it, and so she was kind of intimidated by that. She wanted to test it out. And there was a cast member or the team member that was outside the shop that kind of showed us like a window where no one was doing it, and to try it there. So that was cool.
That's nice.
And so she was able to get one to work, and then after that we decided. So we had reservations today for Mythos and for lunch, and it was, I think, the reservation was at 12:30. So we decided at this point was, like 11:15. So we headed over to the Lost Continent area, and I had thought maybe she would do the Poseidon's Fury ride. I looked it up, and I was like, is this a ride or a show, or what is this? I hadn't really vetted it. And so she's like, what is this, Mom? I'm like, I think it's a show. It's not going to be scary. And it was like a really strange attraction. It was kind of a combination, but I got in line for it at 11:30, and it was posted a 25-minute wait. And we still waited about 20 minutes in the express lane. It was one of those shows with multiple rooms, so that they wait for a big group to get in one room, and then like an actor came out and did a little spiel, and it was like a big background story about why we were in this kind of ruined mythological cave, and it was supposed to be an explorer tour group, and then like some magical elements come in and take over, and so they open a tunnel behind us, and it's like a spinning tube of water basically. We're supposed to walk through it. I don't know how they did this, but it was really crazy. And so we walked through the water tunnel into another room, and then they did another part of the story in there. And we're kind of standing on these risers. Like, we couldn't sit down during any of this. And so they did, like, more of the show, and they had, like, fire and water spraying, and it was pretty interesting. It was kind of a long show too. It wasn't just like a quick 15-minute.
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty interesting. We were in there till like about 12 or 12:10.
Uh-huh.
And then we went to Mythos, which is right across from that attraction. So we just checked in at 12:10, even though our reservation was 12:30, and they seated us within about 5 minutes. And the whole restaurant is like rock, made out of rocks, and it looks kind of like you're inside of a cave, or like maybe you would be underground in a cave. So it was interesting. I didn't think the food was super good. I thought my husband liked it because he likes Mediterranean style food.
Uh-huh.
So he got the lamb burger, and he said it was good. I got a roasted chicken, and it was pretty big, and it was kind of like in a little pot, like it would be like roasted in the oven with like potatoes and roasted veggies, and it wasn't bad. So we had chicken strips, and they were really bad. They were like the hard, dry kind.
Oh, no.
I was like, okay. So, yeah, she mostly ate fries during that, and kind of sat there and played on her phone while we were eating.
Mm-hmm.
But, so she was really burned out already by after exploring like half of that park. And we were starting to feel like this is the 6th day of our vacation. And yeah, like while we were at Disney, none of us were complaining about like our feet hurting or anything like that. And I had been preparing all this stuff, like the moleskin and the band-aids, and everybody saying like, you're going to get blisters and your feet are going to be bleeding and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, we're doing great. And then we could kind of tell like at this point where our feet were aching after a couple hours in the morning instead of like a full day. So since we now had the close resort, we decided to head back after lunch, and we took the walkway. And Zoe really wanted to go swimming. It was pretty cold and misty by this point. So I kind of went to the pool with her. I was just going to like watch her swim. But they had these beach balls that they always had at the pool. And so she wanted to play catch with the beach balls like every time. And then we got some other kids that were there that wanted to play catch with us, and so that was kind of fun because she hadn't really interacted with any other kids because we didn't go swimming at Disney.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't really have an opportunity to meet any kids except in line or something, so that was kind of good, and they looked like they were similar to her age, maybe some girls. So we did that for a couple of hours while my husband took a nap, and then we went up and got ready, and we were planning to go back to the park in the evening and see if the crowds were a little bit less, and like we had our energy built back up. So we left the hotel at 6:30, and we went back to Islands of Adventure, and then we rode the Cat in the Hat again. And then we hadn't done the Hogwarts Express yet, so that was my main goal. Like, I had tried to get her on it that first day, and she was just so tired. She just, like, sat down and was like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, okay. And it goes between the parks, so you have to have a park hopper to do it. But then you also have to plan your strategy of like, well, then I'm going to be all the way in the other park. Is that where I want to end up? And so that was a little bit like a lot of planning. Like, okay, then we'll be over here, was posted at 20 minutes, and we probably just, we kind of walked on. It was like 5 or 10 minutes just walking through the queue, and it was really cute, and they really made it look like a train station that you see in the movie. So we did the Hogsmeade to London version, and they had where you sit in the train car with other parties, and there were maybe 6 of us in there, maybe 7, and a little screen that shows what's going on outside the train. So it shows you're leaving the castle, and then Happy Headway flying. I can't remember. I'm mixing up the 2 rides, but what was on the screen. But it was cute. And then you see you're going into London. You see some of that. So that was neat.
Yeah, because the rides are different when you ride it.
Yeah.
So
they really made it look like, okay, now we're going to school, now we're going back to London, like that. So that was cool.
And it follows the story, which is nice. So you really are in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a cool, immersive area there.
It is. We loved it.
Yeah. So we got up at 7:50. And I went to get in line for Green Dots at 7:54 by myself. So I did the express lane, and on those rides, so I had been carrying, we have a Harry Potter Loungefly bag, so I used that some of the time, and then I used a fanny pack the rest of the time, because they have these tiny lockers there that you have to put your stuff in if you're riding the big rides. So when I went on the Forbidden Journey, he said the fanny pack was fine. I didn't have to put it up in the locker. So I had that on. They were making everybody put their stuff in the locker, and I think they just didn't see my bag because I went in and nobody had anything. I was looking around I just saw people go into the locker. So I kind of just put my fanny pack under my sweater and was okay. Kind of put it on my back under my sweater, and because I didn't want to have to get out and put it in. But yeah, it's kind of it was really interesting. It's cool to see inside the bank, and you go in the main floor of the bank, but then they make you go down the stairs, and then you wait in line. They make you go back up the stairs. It was a really weird queue, and I'm why did we go down and then again?
Right.
Yeah, and then it's a roller coaster, but it's a big car where you sit by 5 people or something.
Mm-hmm.
Across, or 5, but then it was an interesting, and they did have the 3D on this one. So it was again kind of crazy. It wasn't as bad as the castle ride for me, but it was still a lot. And so yeah, you're going through the ride inside the bank, and they have the dragon, and they had several of the characters in there that they show up in 3D. So that was pretty cool. And then they had some weird thing where when you get off, everybody claps.
Yeah.
What is this? Why is everyone clapping? You made it through.
Yeah.
It
was risky.
Bellatrix appeared, and Voldemort was there. It was a lot. So I was it was cool to see it, but I probably wouldn't do it again. And I don't know. It was okay. Did you like that one?
I did like that one. But I also, and just from my perspective, when we went on our trip, we surprised our son for his 13th birthday. And he had just got done reading the book. So, like, we were just, like, watching him experience it, and he loved that ride. And so my feeling towards it is seeing how happy he was. So, yeah.
Yeah, that would be neat. And I was like, yeah, my daughter would freak on this ride. I wish she would do some of it. Like, I tried to get her to go in the queue and just look at it and then get out.
Yeah, because the queues are amazing.
Yeah, it's really, like, you're in that bank, and that was cool. And it was, at this point, it was dark. It was really cool to see Diagon Alley at night. Mm-hmm. And they had all the lights on. And they did have the shops decorated for Christmas with, like, little garlands and lights and stuff. Cute. And all the little lights from the shops were on, and then it was way less people, so it wasn't like wall-to-wall people, and you could actually, like, go in the shop and look around, and
that's nice.
And so Zoe had gotten some candy while I was in the ride. Like, she got the chocolate frog, and it was like a huge chocolate frog. And then she got some others, like, bulk candy that they had in there. Let's see, so that did not take very long. It was about 20 minutes before I was totally off of it. And then, we had talked Zoe into going on E.T. She was really like, I don't want to do any of these rides, because I kept showing them to her, and I was like, oh, this one, it'll be fine. It's just like, they had so many of those 4D screen rides. Mm-hmm. They were, like, really similar, and I figured she would be fine with that, but it was like, she just would not try them. Mm-hmm. I think if she would have tried one, she'd be like, oh, that's kind of fun. But I don't know. So I was, like, telling her, like, okay, this one is supposed to be like Peter Pan, and I think you're gonna like it. And she had not seen E.T., and so I was, like, trying to explain a little bit, but it was about 8:40 when we got in there, and I think the park was closing at 9 this night. Mm-hmm. They went back and forth between which park would close at 8 and which park would close at 9, and it was very annoying because they both opened at the same time.
Yeah.
But then one would close an hour earlier, so we're like, okay, which park are we going to be in? So I kept trying to plan it, so we ended up in the late park, but we were scanning the ET, and it was pretty much a walk-on in the express lane, and it was weird. I hadn't seen ET in so long, mm-hmm. but I was like, was this from the movie? Like, when they went to ET's planet, mm-hmm. and she was like, whoa, this is weird. And so we ended up watching it when we got home. So I could, like, refresh my mind. I remember being, like, really traumatized by it when I was little. And I was, like, only 2, I think, when it came out. So I remember, like, having toys from it and, like, being freaked out by the sick E.T.
Yes, but the sick E.T., like, scarred me. Yes.
Gosh, it was so bad. And so I was like, is she going to be freaked out by this? And she was kind of like, Mom, he is weird. What is going on with Snoopy? And then, like, all these 80s movies that I think are for kids, like, it would have, like, some curse words or some, like, inappropriate line. And I'm like, oh, no. But, yeah, so she watched it, and it did have a little bit at the beginning about him being on his planet, which I didn't remember at all. Mm-hmm. So, but she hated, the ride had this smell in it that was so gross.
Yes.
And it was like, we were like, what is this? And it was kind of like, I don't know, like musty, like, it kind of smelled like really strong, like essential oil or herbs or something. But it was similar to, like, the Pirates of the Caribbean has like a really strong smell. But this one was just nasty.
we went to the park when I was a kid, right when it opened, and that was one of the only rides there. So I think it just is really old, and that's what that smell is. And then they're trying to cover it up. But yeah.
Maybe. Oh my gosh.
That's a very old ride.
We went when I was, like I said, when we went when I was 16, we went to Universal Studios. And I do not remember doing that ride at all. I don't know if I just forgot or I missed it, but I wanted to do it since it was, I think, the only original ride that's left.
I think it is, yeah, because the ride, I mean, we literally went this summer, it opened, and we rode Jaws, which isn't there.
Yes.
And E.T., and then there was this weird King Kong ride. That's but it's not there.
The King Kong and the Jaws, I remember.
Yeah.
And it's like all, and then we did some Alfred Hitchcock like tour show.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
It was in the Bates Motel.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we took pictures in front of the Bates Motel. Yeah, I have those in my memory book, like all that stuff, but I do not remember the E.T. ride, which is so weird, so I'm sure we would have done it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it was broken.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
That's a good possibility. Oh gosh, so as we were leaving that, it was basically time for the park to close, and we saw the people congregating by the little lake there, so they were having a water show, like a nighttime water and light show. So, my daughter was like really wanting to get back to the hotel, and she was like freaking out at this point. Like, come on, we gotta get back. She was so tired, and I really wanted to see, what their nighttime show was, and so let's just watch like 10 minutes and see what it is. So we kind of walked up on this little deck area, and there was plenty of room to see it. But so they like spray the water in different, like kind of like a wall of water that they project on, and it's scenes from movies.
Oh, that's cool.
And they played the music from the movie, so like they played the Jurassic Park score, and they projected on it scenes from it. And they had like the water spraying with lights. It was pretty cool.
That is cool.
And so they did several different movies, and I was just like, we're gonna start walking back. So I told my husband, like, if he wants to watch it, he can. So he basically waited for like 5 more minutes and then followed us and walked out, but I thought it was pretty cool, and I was going to look up online so I could like see the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it wasn't like one you had to get in line for an hour early or anything like that. We just kind of happened to walk by and we're like, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Wednesday is when I noticed the parks got super busy for Thanksgiving, and we decided to sleep in this day. And my daughter wanted to eat breakfast at the hotel again, which my husband took her when I was in the parks the day before, downstairs to I think it was the Island's dining room.
Uh-huh.
They had like a huge breakfast buffet, but it was super expensive. And so Universal does the same thing with the kids, where it's like the 9 and up or 10 and up are adult pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the breakfast was $29 for the breakfast buffet.
Yikes.
I'm like, okay, we're doing this once.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was good. They had a huge selection. But I was kind of like, she can't eat that much, neither one of us can eat that much worth of breakfast. But she wanted to swim again, so I wanted to do some laundry too at this point. And my daughter was kind of just, like multiple towers, and so the laundry was on the ground floor, but it was like way far from the pool and from our room. And so we like asked the front desk like if there's multiple laundries, because we only saw this one on the map, and then she said there was one in our tower. So I'm glad we asked and didn't like hike around the property to find it. So he decided to like babysit the laundry while we swam. My daughter wanted to keep swimming and vegging out at the hotel. She was like all about the hotel and really liked it. So I was like, well, I feel like we're wasting a whole park day, and we had the 4 park to park day, 4-day 2-park ticket. It's very confusing on the thing, but they were having a deal that was like buy 2 park days get 2 free. So we originally were only doing 3, but then when we added a day to our trip, we went ahead and did the 4. So at 12:30, I decided to go into the parks, and I just was gonna find some food and grab it there. So I hadn't gone on the other half of the park, so I had not seen the marble area, the Toon Lagoon, like the King Kong, the Jurassic Park, none of that. So that was like a full half of the park. So I set off for the marble area this time, and I walked on to Spider-Man. It was posted at 45 minutes. Then I pretty much walked on the express lane, and they had like the queue, like you go through like it's kind of like, I guess, the building where his lab is or something. It's like it looks like a regular boring office building. And that one was pretty wild. It was like another screen ride with 4D stuff, and there's like villains coming at you, like he's jumping in your car, and it had 3D glasses. So it was really crazy. It was another really like where they throw you around in the ride vehicle. So I don't know. It was kind of like, okay, but I tried that.
Yeah, Universal, a lot of their rides are just those 3D screen rides that just kind of twist you, toss you around, and you just watch giant screens.
Yeah, they're so upbeat. I had actually bought the photo pass for Universal too. I bought a 3-day one, and we had tried to get a family picture. Like, I only ever saw the photographers, the entrance to the parks, and so like we had asked, and he was like, "Oh, do you have your card to scan?" And I was like, no, like it was like another thing I didn't know I needed to get.
Yeah.
And so I went into the photo thing, and she was like, "Oh, do you have your photo pass receipt?" And I was like looking through like my trip emails. I couldn't find it, and I knew I had bought it, and I was so frustrated. I was like, "Oh, I don't want to waste their park time right now. I'll just find it tonight."
Right.
And so, like, I eventually found it, but then since I kept going in by myself, then I wasn't with my family, I didn't, like, have a chance to get it. And so it was kind of like I kept forgetting about it. It wasn't like Disney where you've seen them all over the place. And so after the ride, they did have computer screens where you can scan your photo pass barcode and get your ride photos. So I had tried to do that. It wasn't working. And then they had like individual cards you can scan and like save it on there for that day and like go to the website and load it. So I grabbed one of those and scanned it to picture with it, and I was just like, we didn't use this. I couldn't figure out how to get it, and I had gone to the website multiple times and tried to do it. It was just weird. I was like, why? The Universal app is not good. Like, the interface is bad.
Yeah.
And you can't do much with it except look at ride times. And you can look up menus for stuff, but I was just like, why are the photos not in the app?
Yeah.
And they're not, like, even if you go to your account on the Universal page, there's no, like, photo area. If you go to, like, another website, it's crazy. Like,
Well, and it's frustrating because you just came from Disney where it works great.
Yes.
And so you're, like, even super aware of how bad it works.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't have known the difference.
Yeah.
I have just done a different way, but that was frustrating. So, I kind of looked around, just like passing by all this stuff, and I looked at the Marvel stuff. I didn't go in any shops, and they had I think it was the Marvel area and in the Simpsons area, like an outdoor carnival. And carnival games that you can play, and I saw where you can buy like a game pass to do those, so I could see that being like kid magnet. And the Toon Lagoon was cute, but it only had water rides, and one of the rides was down while we were there. I think it was the one that was damaged by the hurricane. So that one, I can't remember which one that was, the mountain one. So that was down, and I was like not wanting to get wet, and I heard the water rides there are super, you get soaked, so I'm like, and it was kind of cute over there, but it's one of those, like, you know, it had like Popeye and olive oil and like little Wimpy's burgers, like old school cartoons like that. And it looked like they had a little splash pad area there for kids. So I just kind of passed through that into the Skull Island, which basically only has the King Kong ride. And I was going to see how it compared to like the old King Kong ride I remember. So I got in line, the express lane for that, and it's called Reign of Kong, I think. So that was 1:13, and then I got off the ride at 1:37. So it seemed like the express lanes were just a little bit longer than we had experienced with the lightning lanes at Disney, and 5 to 15 minutes longer on all of them. But that ride was like really crazy. Like, you're in a Jeep going through the jungle and stuff, and then, like, all of a sudden, like, when you go in the building, there's screens, I guess, on the sides, and, like, animatronic creatures, dinosaurs, and King Kong. So, yeah, there's, like, a crazy fight. King Kong fights the dinosaurs on the either side of the Jeep, and it's, like, really bloody and violent, and I was, like, not prepared, like, whoa, okay. And the Jeep was kind of, like, on the safari ride at Animal Kingdom, where it's, like, a bench with a bunch of people, and then the side of the Jeep comes down, like, one side comes down and kind of locks you in there, but, so it, like, rocks the Jeep around as they're fighting around you, and it was like, whoa. So that was interesting. And that was, like, a pretty fast ride, but at least it wasn't, like, the screen crazy one, so I didn't get sick on it, but I was like, whoa, like, I forget what it was, and I was so, like, ew, that was nasty. It's like, oh, the King Kong, like, snaps the dinosaur's jaw or something.
Yes, he, like, rips it open.
And, yeah, and I think there's, like, I don't know if they splatter the Jeep or something that makes it feel like you're getting splattered with blood or something. It was gross.
Yeah, it's
And
gross.
then there's like a huge actual King Kong head right by the Jeep when you're leaving. It's like massively huge. So that was interesting. But they have like a whole area that's just that, and then it goes right into Jurassic Park. So I did not want to ride. Well, off the coaster, I knew that those roller coasters there just look crazy. It was like, oh my god, I'm not ready for those. I used to like this kind when I was a kid, but no longer. So then they had a water ride. I kind of wanted to do that, but again, it was like, I don't know, do I want to get wet right now? It looked fun though. But, and then I looked, the Pteranodon Flyer one looked really cute. Like, it kind of went above the Jurassic Park area, like a ski lift kind of ride. It looked cute, but you have to have a kid with you to ride it. And then the kid has to be a certain height, or they have to ride by themselves. So there are all these parents there, like, measuring their kids and trying to figure out logistics. Then they had, like, a playground climbing area that was, like, Camp Jurassic, I think, that looked really fun. So I just basically looked at the shops and restaurants over there and kind of walked by. I decided not to ride anything, but it was really neatly themed over there. So after that, you go back into the Wizarding World. So from the other side, I went into Hogsmeade, and I decided I would try to get in the Ollivander show. So I guess the night before when I was on the Gringotts ride, my husband had taken Zoe to the Diagon Alley one, and she got to see it. So I was like, well, that's not fair. I didn't get to see it. So I got in line for that, and it was $155, and it was about a 15-minute wait. They have a certain number that can fit in the shop, and so I think he said he was looking for 19 people that would fit in there, and that was really cool. The guy who played Ollivander was like totally method, like you felt like you were in the movie, and he goes through, he picks one kid that's in there at the time, and when I was in there, it was kind of weird. They were almost all adults and like a few teenagers. So like he picked one teenager that had her robe on, and she had a Hufflepuff robe, and he, selected her, and she was like totally into it and excited, and so they went through like maybe 2 or 3 tries, like in the movie where there's a big explosion, and then like when they find the right one, there's like the dramatic music plays, and then the person has the option to buy that exact one. They shuffle them out into the one shop from there. So, and that was probably like maybe like a 10 or 15-minute show. It wasn't super long. And they feed you into the one shop after that.
Yep, they want you to buy those wands.
Yes, oh my gosh. There's so much merchandise over there.
Yes, it's everywhere.
So I haven't gotten to catch any of the Harry Potter shows yet. And I wanted my daughter to see them, but since she wasn't with me, I was just like going to do it since I was there. And our first day, we actually had walked in when it was in the middle of the Celestia Warbeck singing in Diagon Alley. And we were like, wanting to go eat, so we didn't stop or watch it, but it was kind of the tail end. So, the ones that are in Hogsmeade are the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally and the Frog
Mm-hmm.
So their showings were basically back to back at 2:30 and 3. So I was going to try to watch both of them at once. So I just went and sat right by the stage there, which is like between the castle and Hogsmeade. There's just a little stage off to the side. So the show was 10 minutes long, and it was like in the fourth movie when they're doing the trials and tournaments. So they have 3 girls that are supposed to be from the Beauxbatons school, and then they have 3 guys that are from what's the other one? The Durmstrang.
Yes, I'm like,
So,
I can't think of it.
Totally blank.
Yeah.
So the girls do like a little dancing and a little routine, and then the guys do like a martial arts type demonstration with their staffs and stuff. So that was kind of cool. And then afterward, they let the kids take pictures with them, so you can line up and all. So they did pictures for maybe 10 more minutes, and I just kind of sat there because I was waiting to see the next show, and I didn't really want to get my picture with them, but they had kind of a girl who introduces them and directs the photos, and she kind of talked to each of the kids, and then I saw the other characters talking to the kids, so it looked like there was good interaction there. And then the frog choir was really cute, and they only show this for a tiny bit in one of the movies. I can't remember which one it is, but they have the frogs on these pillows, and they're like these little puppet things that croak.
Mm-hmm.
So they're operating it somehow underneath or something, and so they make it so the croaking is part of the song, and I think there were 4 of them, maybe 5, that were in the choir, and there were 2 frogs, and then 2 or 3 girls, and 2 guys, and then they were singing Christmas music. They were really good.
That's cute.
So I enjoyed that. And at this point, my phone died.
Oh no!
It happened to me on this trip. So we had brought so many portable chargers, but the one I grabbed to take with me was almost dead, and I didn't know it. And so I thought I had a charger. The charger was dead. Yeah, so I had texted my daughter, my husband, my phone's on 2%, and I had said that I would meet them, and let's see. So I was going to meet them in Universal Studios, and I think it was at 4:30 or 5 was when I was supposed to meet them. And so I was like, okay, it's totally fine. I know where I am. And I'm having the no phone panic.
Yeah.
And so I went back into Seuss Landing, and I was kind of shopping around looking for some trinket to buy. So I found an ornament with Zoe's name on it, and it's
cute.
Rare to find the C-O-E-Y spelling, so it was a Grinch one, so I got that. And then, let's see, I walked all the way to Universal Studios, so I hadn't walked between the parks like that on the walkway, so there's a little walkway that goes by a couple of restaurants, and then it's not super long, so it just takes a long time to get through the gates, and then all the way to the land, and Islands of Adventure. It seems like it's so far in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably takes 15 minutes or so if you're walking briskly. But So I went into one of the little like soda shops in Universal Studios. They have like the old time Hollywood Boulevard style shops. So I never did stop and get any food. I had looked at several food, like quick service stands while I was passing. I couldn't decide on anything. And so I just hadn't eaten. So I got a root beer float. Because by now, we had dinner reservations at 6:30. And I was like, I'm not going to eat a meal. So, and then I broke down and bought a fuel rod because I was like, I can't look up anything. I couldn't look up like when the shows were and stuff like that. And they did have screens posted throughout the parks with the times of the shows and stuff, and then the wait times of the big rides.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of nice. And while I was over there, I noticed the Hollywood Horror makeup show was about to start. So, I got the fuel rod on my phone, and when it came on, I was like, are you guys almost here? And they were just getting on the boat, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go in here and try to sneak in the show. But the show was like 20 minutes, and so they were waiting on me already by the time I got out, because it's only like a 10-minute boat ride, or less, so they ended up waiting on me anyway, but the horror makeup show was pretty fun. It was cute. So they had like a guy who's supposed to be a Hollywood makeup artist, and he tells some of the movies he's worked on, and then they have these props and like a little skit going where they get an audience member to be part of it, and they like use her to pretend like they're cutting off her arm or
that's funny.
something. And they have like the fake blood, and they show how the knife has like a little cutout for the arm in it. So
that's cool.
It was very cool. They had her be part of it, and then they had like an animatronic werewolf that she was supposed to be operating, and so that was pretty fun. Let's see. So after that, Ron and Zoe had found the Animal Actor Show was starting at 5. So I went straight to meet them at that. And that was really cute. And it's another like a huge bleacher theater, and then a little stage where the animals do their thing, and there's like a little scene with like a waterfall and like little ramps for the animals and a little door they come out. That was really cute, and they had like dogs and cats, and then they had some birds that they had doing stuff. They had like some audience interaction there where like the bird flew to the guy and landed on him. And then they had some weird ones like a pig and a porcupine and a skunk. There was a ferret. There were a lot of cute animals. So she really liked that. And that was a 30-minute show. So a little bit longer than some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Christmas parade was starting, and we hadn't seen it yet, and it looked really cute when I researched it. Like, it's actually supposed to be like the Macy's Day Parade, and they have like huge floats. They have the balloons, and then they have some floats with the characters, and so we were there was a big crowd lining up for that. We were going to try to do the Minions ride while we were waiting for the parade. So I tried to talk Zoe into doing it, and I was like, okay, it's one of those where you just sit in one spot, you watch the parade. So, we like went in a store and looked around, and it had a 45-minute posted wait, but it took a while because of the parade crowd to be able to meet up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of got our wires crossed. Because he said, like, I'll meet you at the exit. I thought he meant the exit to the right. He meant the exit to the park. And we're, like, sitting there. Where is he? Like, right across from the Minions ride. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah. But we got to watch most of the parade. And it was cute. And then, finally, we figured out where everyone was. And we ended up leaving because we had our reservations for Viva, which is an Italian restaurant, and it was kind of like a fancy one. And it seemed like all the restaurants, you could tell they were like the same owners or the same. They all had similar decor,
Mm-hmm.
but like they had different themes. But they had the same these curved booth enclosures that were in every restaurant. It was interesting. So, the food was good, but the service was super slow. So we were pretty much seated right away again, but it was gigantic portions, so huge bowl, and we didn't get anything too crazy. Like, I think I got spaghetti and meatball, or not regular spaghetti, but some pasta and meatball dish. And then my husband got a spaghetti that had a lamb meat on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my daughter just wants plain noodles with butter. So we were able to order that for her. And we ordered a kid's portion, but it was still a lot of food.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a microwave, and we had a fridge, but we were like, what are we going to do, So we didn't take home the leftovers or anything. And it was about 8 by the time we got out of there. And we were just too tired to go back to the park, so we could have gotten another hour in at the lake park, but we decided not to. So we took the boat back to Royal Pacific, and we got there about 8:10.
That was a busy day. And then your next day is actually Thanksgiving.
Yes. Thanksgiving Day. So we had originally planned to leave on Thanksgiving, but we extended our trip to leave on Friday, and I scheduled the holiday tour for Thursday night. And at the time that I scheduled it, they only had open Monday night and Thursday night, and neither one was super desirable to me because we had done Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party Sunday night, and I was like, we do not want back-to-back night parties,
Yeah.
And I had no idea. This one seemed like it went really late too, and I wasn't super sure what to expect because it was hard to find information online about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked Thursday, but then we were leaving Friday in an early flight. So I'm like, okay, how is this going to go? And we had to change hotels because of the change in plans. There was no opening at Royal Pacific for that night. So we ended up scheduling or reserving Dockside transfer and move our luggage and all of that. So I got up early and started packing all the stuff, and then I decided to go again to the park in morning. So this time I went to Universal Studios for early entry, and they were actually letting people in before 8 a.m., like maybe 7:50.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I looked on the thing, the app, and Hagrid's was already at 45 minutes, like at 7:45.
Wow.
I'm like, what? So, I don't know. I probably should have tried to get on it at that point and just waited it out, but instead I went to Universal Studios and I got in line to do the Minions since I hadn't gotten to do it the night before, so that was still before 8 a.m. and the express lane was already kind of long, and it had a pretty long pre-show for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cute, but it was, again, like, this is the same as all the rides, like, with the wiggling seat, like, you're in the lab, it looks like, sitting, and then they show the little Minions antics on the screen, but it's, like, the 3D, or, was that one 3D?
I think it is 3D.
I think it was. I remember thinking they should have had, like, the goggles, like lab goggles, instead of just regular 3D glasses in there. So I was done with that by 8:15, and then I was really disappointed. The other rides were not open. Like, I was walking around, Jimmy Fallon wasn't open still, Mummy wasn't open, so I went into Starbucks, which had no line, and I had not gotten Starbucks this entire trip because of the massive crowds at Disney
Yes.
Starbucks, and so I, like, basically had gotten no good coffee. So I was like, oh, I'm getting this. So I went in there, got a coffee with no wait. It was amazing. And then I still hadn't ridden the Hogwarts Express from the other direction, the London to the castle. And I was annoyed because we did it backwards. Like, I wanted to do it the first day.
Yeah.
But my daughter was not having it. So there was no wait to get on that. And then on the way, on this direction, they had, like, where the Dementors get on the trains. So they have the little screen that shows outside, but they also have, like, shadows and voices on the other side where the door of your compartment is. And so you hear, like, the characters talking, and, like, you see the shadow, and then you also hear, like, the sweet trolley lady. It was really cute. So that was a fun one. And then at this point, my daughter was awake and, like, asking, like, where are you?
Yeah.
So I kind of snuck out. And she's like, Mom, where are you? I need breakfast and Dad's sleeping. So I still wanted to do a couple other rides, but I decided to, like, hoof it back to the hotel because I knew we had to pack all our stuff. So I went back and met my daughter, and I bought her breakfast in the little lobby shop. And they had in the lobby, like, a little kind of grocery store. There was a coffee bar with Starbucks coffee, and then there was, like, hot sandwiches, refrigerated food, fruit, lots of different things that you can get in there. So she just got, like, cereal, and I got a breakfast sandwich, and we ended up taking it upstairs to eat in our room. And so we were trying to figure out the best way to transfer hotels. We kind of looked into doing, like, Uber and or Lyft, and then we ended up, it was really weird. It was, like, hard to get information about this, to be called the front desk, and they were like, well, you can order an Uber. We're like, well, yeah, but don't you have a service that does this? And so we finally figured out that they did have a transfer service that we could do. And it was like, kind of like the concierge takes you. So, like, they take you with the luggage, kind of. So we ended up doing that at 10:30. And the bellhop guy was a little bit more helpful, and we kind of asked him about some stuff, like, because we had yet to do buses, and we had to come back from that night, so we were trying to figure out all that. So we got to Dockside, and it was a really quick trip, and we were just in like a minivan. And they actually had a room ready for us.
Oh, nice.
Awesome, because we also had reservations for Toothsome for lunch. And I was like, I kind of made that late, but I was like, we need something for Thanksgiving, because we had added that on later. And I was like, oh my gosh, where are we going to eat for Thanksgiving? And we hadn't eaten there yet, and it looked fun. And so I had that. I think it was actually for 12, but I was like, there's no way we're going to make it back to City Walk by 12. So I got on the app, and they actually had 1 o'clock still available. So I moved that to 1. And so we, got our stuff up to our room. My daughter was super excited because we got the 2-bedroom suite, and she had her own room, which I was like, we're barely going to be in it, which I knew, but I was like, oh, it looks fun. And so she was super wanting to just stay there. I'm like, oh, we have lunch reservations. And she's like, what? Why are you doing this to me, Mom? So we went and got on the bus, and the buses are actually really quick. There was a big crowd there, but there was a bus that left right before we got there, and then another bus was kind of right behind it. So
Nice.
It wasn't bad, but then the bus loading area at Universal was really crazy, and I don't know, you have to walk a lot. It's like they drop you off in a parking lot, and then you walk up to the hub where there's a landing area where the security is, and then you have to walk on a walkway, it has moving walkways in the airport, to the back side of the City Walk. Then you have to walk all the way through that to get to where the parks are and cross the river thing. So it was a lot. We were like, oh my gosh. And on the bus on the way there, somebody threw up really close to us.
Oh no.
It's oh my God, what is happening? And this girl just threw up all of a sudden. Thank God it didn't get on us, but it was a really full bus. And so I was digging through my bag to give her wet wipes and stuff that I had. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So my daughter was freaked out by this. She's super sensitive to smells and anything gross like that. And I was just oh my gosh. I was afraid she wasn't going to take the bus back because of this. And so it took about 30 minutes to get there and then to the restaurant. So the hotels aren't far away, they're 10 minutes away, but it's just a process to get through that walkway and security thing. And it was more of an ordeal than we had before. So we basically walked up like exactly at 1, and we're like, oh my gosh, we made it. And they pretty much seated us right away. And that was like a really cool restaurant with the steampunk theme. And
yeah, it's fun.
Chocolate. Yeah, there's like a confectionery area in the front where I guess you can just go in and buy chocolates, and I don't know if you can order like the shakes and stuff and desserts at the front there. I think you can, because I saw people walking around with the little jars.
Mm-hmm.
They have like the massive shakes with like a piece of cake on top of your shake or a cookie or something. And so the food here I thought was actually really good. They didn't have any like special menu for Thanksgiving. It was just like their regular menu. So I ordered a Waldorf salad because we had been eating so much. Like on this trip, we had so many meals, and then they had on the kids menu a waffles and bacon. So my daughter got that, and it was kind of like Disney, where they're like, you know, this is for 9 and under, but we ordered for her in the restaurants the kids menu, and they didn't question it or anything. Yeah. And then my husband got a Reuben sandwich. So then my daughter wanted like one of the massive shakes, and she got like a mint chocolate chip, and I mean, it was good, but it was like so sickeningly sweet. It had like a giant kind of like a thin mint cookie on top of it. And like the chocolate was covering the rim and everything, like dripping down. And I was like, how are you going to eat this? And she wanted to take it with her, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was actually pretty warm this day. Like, I think this was one of the days that it actually got up to 80. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we kind of like wrapped it in the napkins and were holding it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. We decided to go back to the hotel since we had to be at the parks. I tried to get Zoe interested, like, is there any other rides you want to do or see, you know, before we leave? And she, like, was over it. She was like, oh, this vacation is too long. Like, she did not want any more. And she just, like, kept saying, like, Mom, we should have stayed at Disney. I don't like these rides. And I was like, oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, but
it's hard to know until you go. Like, you won't know until you go.
For sure. And, I mean, we had originally been only do Universal, so I'm like, thank goodness we didn't do that.
Yeah.
She was so annoying. But I didn't realize, until we got there, how much, like, the ride issues she would have.
Yeah.
So, she just wanted to swim once again, and since we were at a new hotel, she wanted to see that pool, and so she was also, after we had that bus situation, she was not keen on getting back on the bus, and I didn't want to waste any of our transport time, or the swimming time with transportation, so we ended up calling a Lyft, and it was still kind of complicated. Like, we still had to walk all the way over to the bus area, and then trying to figure out where to even meet the rideshare people. And they had like at Disney, they have a deal with Lyft where they have like, you know, this is where the Lyft can go. And then Universal apparently had a deal with Ubers. They had Uber signs everywhere. So it was kind of tricky, but the Lyfts and the Ubers were both like really quick for the whole trip and like really convenient. So that was like a $10 ride. We got back to Dockside pretty quickly, and then we got ready really fast. I took my daughter down to the pool, she did not like this pool as much, but it was really big, and it had a little splash pad area for the little ones again, and tons of beach chairs. Like, it wasn't crowded at all. You know, there were maybe like 10 people or 15 in the pool.
Wow.
And which was weird because it was like a holiday, and we're like, okay, the parks were packed, so people were not at the pool. But so let's see, we swam for an hour, and then we had to get ready to go back for the tour because they wanted us to check in by 6. The tour was supposed to start at 7. And it said on the email that I had gotten that it was supposed to be 4 to 5 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to last this long? And so Ron had realized he had lost his credit card at the restaurant the night before, so he had done all this calling like you mentioned earlier. And finally figured out that it was at Universal Studios. So we had to stop first by the customer service there, and we probably waited like 20 minutes for them to like find it and talk to the right person and all this stuff.
Yeah. So
that was kind of annoying, but and then the meeting point for the tour was in this weird area that was like to the left of the entrance between the Hard Rock Cafe and Universal Studios. There was this little path that went to like the back studio lot area. So there was a huge line of people already, and we got in line at 5:45. And then we waited for them. They like came through. Eventually, they scanned our passes, and I was surprised it was like such a big group. We kind of sat down because we were like, this is taking forever, and my daughter was just playing on her phone, but like it took me till 6:20 before they scanned our tickets.
Oh, wow.
And then we had to go to another queue. Like, I thought this was the end of the line, but then there was another line that was like waiting to put you with your tour guide. So then we waited. They put us in groups of 10. And then that took until 6:35. So then we met our tour guide. We had a young guy named Elias, and he was pretty fun and energetic. And then he took us to a theater where we waited again with all the groups together, waiting to go into the Grinchmas Christmas show. So we waited like another 10 minutes, and then we went into the theater, and the show started right at 7. And it was really cute. They actually had a Grinchmas show in Islands of Adventure in the Seuss Landing area, but we hadn't seen it. So I was like, oh, we're going to see it on our tour. Let's not wait for it now. And so I had put it off, but this was like in a totally different theater, a different park, and it was like really surprised. I thought we were just going over there to watch it. But at this point, the parks were still both open. So we had like a private showing of it, and I mean, we were pretty much like in the third row or something.
That's awesome.
And towards the middle. Yeah, it was really cute, and it kind of follows the Jim Carrey movie. And it was 30 minutes long. So, the tour was kind of like a lot of back and forth and a lot of waiting in between stuff. So, after that, he took us over to Islands of Adventure, and we did like a backlot secret entrance. And so, we kind of just walked like, it took
That's
what
cool.
happened. Yeah, it was really cool. And so we were going to the Circus Circus Cafe to do meet and greet, and they had like small fake treats and a cocoa bar. So we got in line to do pictures with the Grinch. So we were like switching off, where like one of us would go get the food, and then one of us would wait in line, and like back and forth. So the food was kind of random. It's like they had like the tots that they have at one of their quick service places over there. So they had some of those, and then there were like chicken wings and or chicken strips. I can't remember. I think it was chicken wings, and then there was hot cocoa. There was one other little treat I can't remember. And then you could also get pop from their Coke machines there. So we got the snacks, and you could also do pictures with Max the dog, and it was a real dog. He was so cute. And my daughter did not want to do pictures with Max. I don't know why. He was so cute, and he had a separate line. But we probably waited 20 minutes to do the Grinch picture, but he was like really funny and like interactive with us and was commenting. And my daughter had gotten fuzzy Grinch socks while we were there, and she's in this phase where she only wants to wear fuzzy socks and like wears them every day. So she got those, and he was commenting like on the texture and how it was like his fur and stuff, and I had on a Grinch shirt, and he was talking about how it was like the accurate color of the Grinch, because it was like a muted kind of olive green, and most people had like a bright neon green color. But he was funny. He would like make silly faces. They didn't have a PhotoPass person there. You had to just like hand your camera to the next family, and they would take it. Or we actually had Ron to get in, and then just Sophie and I were in the pictures. But and then I took some for the person in front of us, and it worked like that. So it kind of would have been neat if it was like a professional picture.
Yeah.
But they turned out okay. The lighting was kind of weird in there and kind of dark. But we got 3 or 4 pictures. So our tour guide had left us in there, and we still had a little bit of time, because I think he said he was going to pick us up at 8:45, and so we had about an hour there. And so I was like, we still have time. We want to ride any of the rides over here, because the park was still going. My daughter did not want to ride anything. So I went by myself again. I went on Cat in the Hat. And then I went in one of the shops and looked around. Then I went back and met them. So our guide picked us up, and we went back to Universal Studios through the same little path. And he took us to the roof of the NBC building over there.
That's cool.
And I was like, this is interesting. And so we waited up there like from 8:50 to about 9:20. And I thought we were waiting to get on the Jimmy Fallon ride, because they said there was going to be a ride, and they didn't let us pick or anything. It was like predetermined it was going to be the Jimmy Fallon race through New York. And we hadn't done it yet. And we were also supposed to see and I can't remember how many years he said he worked there, but like he got to do like when they were testing Velocicoaster and do some of those. Like he said they would have to work like all night when they're testing the rides, and some people would be doing a night shift, and yeah, it sounded crazy. And then so he was talking about the new park that they're doing and some stuff about that. So we went and saw Santa, and my daughter's not super into that anymore. But we got a family photo with Santa, and then that was another thing, the photo pass, where he gave me a card with a QR code. I was supposed to be able to scan it and find the picture. And like I tried it several times and could not find this picture. And so it was another thing. I emailed customer service, and they were pretty good about emailing me back, but it took like 4 emails before I found the picture. They were like, oh, the pictures are all set in your account. And I was like, I still don't know how to find my account for the picture.
That's
so
crazy.
They finally sent me a link, and I found the pictures. It was like 2 pictures of Santa that were the only pictures I ever got from this trip. It was so funny. But finally I got them like yesterday. So I was like, okay. And so the Santa was like pretty good. Like he talked to his family, and there was a little scene there for the pictures. Okay, so at this point we're getting pretty tired. It's like 9:30, and finally he herds us into the Jimmy Fallon ride area. So my daughter had been asking all this stuff. She's like, asking if it's scary, and like once again, like the whole song and dance. And then basically decides not to do it. And we did have the option to do the rider swap. And there was one other family in our group that had a toddler, and so they were going to do that. So my husband was like, maybe I'll do it. And then like I kind of told him like, I don't think he'll like it. After I came out, it was another crazy video ride, and you're like in the theater, and you're supposed to be chasing him, but he's driving like this really fast car, and like they go to the moon and all this weird stuff. It was pretty funny, but yeah, again, it was like not my favorite type of ride. So then our tour guide took us back to Islands of Adventure, and we were kind of waiting this whole time because it was supposed to be ending with the castle projection Christmas show. And we're like, we're going to get to Hogsmeade and see that. So this is when he took us over to Hogsmeade, and it was about 9:50. So there was hardly, the parks were closed at this time. So we went to another like back entrance, and it entered into like the Lost Continents area, and we just walked right in, and it was so cool because it was at night with all the lights on. There was nobody there.
That's so
except
cool.
for this tour. So yeah, it was cool. And then so there was the only thing that was open was the Hogshead, so you could get drinks. So if you wanted to get another butterbeer, we tried the regular butterbeer. She didn't like it. So, I mean, it kind of tastes like cream soda to me, but the frozen one was much better to us. And so they got a drink, and then we had the opportunity to try out our spells. So I've been carrying around the wand the whole entire night. And there was like, just a few kids on the tour doing it. So, and our tour guide was giving me all these pointers because he used to work over there in that area.
That's awesome.
He was like, you need to point it here and do this. And I was like really bad at making it work, but actually have like a little sensor in the window, and if you can get it to point it at and do the right gesture, it'll work. But still, I couldn't get them all to work, but they were cute. So we were just hanging out there, taking pictures and waiting, and then eventually we walked over to the castle. We're like, okay, surely it's gonna start, and it did not start until 10:55.
Yikes.
And so we were in there an hour just hanging out and waiting for this to start. And I mean, it was really cool. They had, similar to the Disney fireworks show where they had the projections, like they had Christmas music and they had like little scenes on the castle. It was really cute. My husband didn't think it was as good as the projection Disney, but I felt like they tried to do more because they tried to show like the characters like walking through the castle, like the Yule Ball. They had like a scene of that, and then at the very end, they did have some fireworks, just like a very short spurt of fireworks, but it was really cute. So that was the end of our tour, and they basically walked us out. The tour guides all had these light up wands that we like followed them through the parks with. And so they walked us out the front. It was an adventure, and then we had to get back to our hotel, but my husband had left something at the Royal Pacific, like his toiletry bag, and so we had to go by there. So we took the walking path and walked all the way up there, went to the front desk, and he had called and determined it was there ahead of time. But then they're searching for it in the lost and found, and they finally find it, and then we are trying to get a lift back to Dockside, and the first one canceled on us, and so it was at least another 30 minutes before we could leave, and so it was super late. It was around midnight when we got to Dockside, and our transport for the morning was set up for 5:30, I think. And we were using the same service that transferred us from Disney to there, the quick transportation, and they were really good. They texted us the day before to make sure, and then they texted us when they were waiting outside. The only problem was you couldn't really tell because they're an unmarked car basically.
Yeah.
It was like an Uber or something, so it's who are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Where are we going? So that was the only issue. But we had also signed up for the clear pre-check for the airport for the NTO. And that was awesome. There was a huge line there for security, and the clear check line was really small. So that, I think, saved us quite a bit of time, because we, it said 6:15 we got in line for security, and 6:35 we were at our gate. So
that's really good.
Yeah.
That's shocking.
And then we were okay, our flight wasn't until 8 or 8:30. We're now what?
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, your Universal portion of your trip sounded pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think it went well. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but we definitely enjoyed the Harry Potter area, and the Seuss landing was really cute. But it was just, not enough rides for Zoe to make her enjoy it as much as Disney, but I'm glad we got to see all the Wizarding World stuff.
So what would you say your least magical moment would have been on this portion of your trip?
I think it was the puke on the bus.
Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah, that was gross. That's probably the least magical for all of us. But, and then I think the most magical would be the light show on Hogwarts Castle. It was really cool, and just, having hardly anyone else around, we didn't have to look over the crowds or anything. We just basically sat on the concrete, right below the castle and watched it.
Yeah, that's really special. I love moments like that. That's really cool. Well, Beth, thanks so much for coming on the show. Your travel tale was so fun, and it had so much really important information. I think people who are traveling to either Disney or Universal will learn a lot from your show.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope it was helpful to somebody. I know your other travel tales have been really helpful to my trip.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed Beth's travel tale. Make sure to check out our Instagram page at Disney Travel Tales to see pictures from her Universal trip. If you're traveling to Disney, Universal, or going on a Disney cruise in 2023 and want to find out what it takes to be on the show, please email me at disneytalespodcast@gmail.com. I'm currently looking for at least one guest in January, guest in March, and April. Again, Happy New Year, and thank you so much for listening this season. This is the last episode of Season 4. I will be back in February with a fun new season filled with all kinds of shows, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the new season. So until then, this is Jenny, and may all your Disney travel dreams become a reality.